Okay, feels weird talking myself out loud, but this is the first part of documenting my process through making my little data science project. Turn my phone off. So, first thing we'll be actually talking through the project just so it helps me figure out what I'm doing. So, the scope of the project is take a series of movies, right? Not any movies, it's follow criteria, but overall, we want to take a bunch of movies and want to be able to, two things we're trying to check is meant to be a predictor for one of two things. I'm still trying to pick between which one I might do. I might actually do both just to see what's more interesting, but either checking being able to predict the correlation between the R value and all the other features, and the R value, which is the correlation coefficient, between the average user-given review and the revenue. So either predicting the R value of that correlation, or just predicting the revenue, and then the average review score would be a part of the feature set in the prediction thing. Now, for their user reviews, I might go with both the actual number review, out of 10, but what's more interesting would be doing sentiment analysis on each of the reviews. Now, for the base scope of the project, I think I'm just going to do, again, generic sentiment analysis, so either positive or negative, but when trying to look at more advanced version of the project, what I could do is either create my own model, which would be really difficult, or leverage someone else's model that looks at different emotions, happiness. Are they happy, sad? Are they scared? Are they disgusted? And view not only how that relates to, again, predictive values, but one of the more interesting parts of this project is looking at how it varies across different types of movies. For example, if someone finds a children's movie scary, it might be rated lower and have lower revenue, but if they find a horror movie more scary, based on the reviews, it might perform better because that emotion is good in one context but bad in the other context. Now, for picking the movies, that's the first part of the project, what I'm on right now. What I want to do is go across 15 different genres, and then for each genre, I want to pick 40 movies. Now, those 40 movies are also divided into 4 different categories. Now, first of all, it's going to be 20 movies pre-COVID and 20 movies post-COVID. The reason for that is because COVID really messed up with movie theater revenue, because since then, theaters haven't recovered as much as they were beforehand, because people are more scared to go to the theaters, and they just prefer the convenience of streaming at home. But the other that's 20 pre-COVID, 20 post-COVID. But the other way I'm going to split up those 20 is 10 spectacle movies and 10 non-spectacle movies. Now, that definition comes from when I did my data management project in class last semester. I did a much, much smaller scale version of what I'm doing now, which was just 10 movies instead of doing actual, computational regression. It was just plotting things into a Excel sheet and looking at it, and that was going day by day comparing the average rating versus the revenue. But anywho, so what a spectacle movie is let's say, for example, Avengers Endgame versus Manchester by the Sea. Avengers Endgame is part of a pre-existing franchise. In fact, it was meant to be the big finale to the whole Marvel saga. Point is, people would have seen it regardless of the reviews, right? People are going to see Avengers movies not just because other people say it's good, but because of everything behind the movie. Same with, say, for example, a Fast and Furious movie. It's part of a pre-existing franchise, and so people are going to watch it anyways, right? That's kind of a spectacle movie. People are going to watch the movie because of outside factors, right? Whether it's an adaptation, it's a director they like, it's part of a franchise, things like that, right? That makes it a spectacle movie. Manchester by the Sea, for example, or even Get Out, one of those types of movies, they are kind of standalone, right? They're not part of a pre-existing franchise. It's not notable or anything. Well, they're notable movies, yes, Oscar movies actually, but that's now, right? When the movie would have came out, there was no kind of pre-existing notion going into it. Whether it was good or bad and whether other people saw it or not was dictated solely by what others said of the movie, right? Like, its popularity kind of spreads by word of mouth because of people who saw it. Meanwhile, for, again, like Marvel movies, people are going to see them regardless just because they're Marvel movies, right? So that's kind of the distinction. We have across 15 genres. I'm still picking the genres, but, well, no, not I have a list somewhere, but it's not up at the moment. But across 15 genres, I have 40 movies that I'm going to go through. And those 40 are divided into 20 pre-COVID, 20 post-COVID, and each of those 20 are then also split 10 and 10 between spectacle versus non-spectacle movies for a total of 600 movies, because 40 by 15. Now, before I get into, like, that's kind of part of what we're working on. Before I get more into that, I just want to go over the overall scope of the project. So, I have it written on my whiteboard there. Talk to myself. Step 1 is collect all the review data plus just the other film data. Now, the reason I want the review data is because I want to do that sentiment analysis on each movie. The way I'm going to do that is, for each movie, go through the IMDb user reviews for each one. For each one, scrape maybe 200 and 300-ish reviews, right? Depending on how many each movie has. Scrape that many reviews and store them all into an Excel sheet. Each individual sheet in the overall Excel file will be for one individual movie, and then in that sheet there will be all the reviews. So I need to collect all that, which will be 600 by however many reviews there are per movie, so looking at thousands there. Hundreds of thousands probably, like in total in terms of data rows. But gather all that so then I can do sentiment analysis and get that specific value, right? Like for each movie, do the sentiment analysis, get the average value across all the reviews, and then take that as a single data point to put with the rest of the movie. So then I want the other film data, which is just everything else that I might be able to use as a feature in the regression model. That's just going to come straight from the, like, an IMDb data source. There's a bunch on Kaggle. I'm probably just going to use one of them because doing movie prediction is a pretty common project, but here I'm trying to put a bit of a spin on it with the sentiment analysis thrown in. So take all that, and then for each of the movies, you're going to have all those data points, including the sentiment analysis score, plus all the other points we get, for a total of 600 different data points with however many features I end up choosing. So, yeah, again, step 2 of that process is doing the sentiment analysis on the reviews, and then putting that with the rest of the data set. So that's step 2 done there. Step 3 is we go into feature analysis. So because I'm going to have all that data, I have to pick which ones do I want to actually use for the regression model. And for that, it's just going to be taking a look at it, looking at their relations, probably through a correlation matrix, and then, again, just using some common sense and figuring out, okay, what do I want to use for the model? And that might change as I progress. Like, as I work on the model, I might swap in some variables here or there, see what works better. But point is, do feature analysis, and also I'll need to clean up the data. It should all be fine since I'm putting some of the values in anyways, and it's going to be from a pretty clean data set from Kaggle, but regardless, I'd have to clean some things and then turn some things into numerical values instead. But that's step 3. Sorry, it's also step 4, which is the whole cleaning and transforming part of the data. Then step 5, which technically is a big one, but there's a bunch that goes before this, which is actually training up the model. I don't know what model I'm going to be using for this yet. That I will have to look into a lot more. Probably some form of regression model, because again, it's predicting a value. I'm not sure what type. Again, that'll depend on the relation, but for a lot of that, I can just swap models in and out, because scikit-learn makes it pretty easy to do that, so I can just test out a bunch of models and see which one works best and which one has the highest strength. So that's step 5. Step 6 is optimize the model. Now, can't see it, but there's a little bracket I have there which says how question mark, because I'm not sure how to optimize a model. that is something I'm gonna have to learn and figure out how to do, but that's kind of part of the process. And then step 7 is where I ran out of space on the whiteboard, but it goes into working on the front end, which is the other cool part of this. All of that so far, like train the model and everything, would be refocusing the camera there. It would be a good data science project, right? But I want to also work on some front end and full stack skills. So I'm going to take the whole model and then I'm going to use, so first of all of that's going to be done in Python. Then I'm going to combine a bunch of API routes in Flask with a React front end where the model will be there, and then you can put in a bunch of, data onto a little website, and it will give a prediction for, again, either the R value or the revenue, maybe both, maybe an option to switch between. Regardless, it's essentially just deploying the model to a front end where others can use it. So that'll be fun. And also, I am documenting this whole process so that I can do a write-up report and put it on there showing both my process and doing all the research, making everything. But also, I'm going to look into data myself. I'm going to do predictions. I'm going to analyze it similarly how I did for my data management project, but again, a lot more in depth because I have a lot more data points here. So I'm going to do my own little research. I'm going to write up a research report, throw it on the site. I'm also going to put in all of this, which is kind of what this is for, documenting everything. And then I'm also going to put that right up on the site. So it'll have, 1, the model to be used, 2, it'll have all this documentation, and 3, it will also have my research itself, looking into what actually plays a factor into movies, and does it vary per genre, does it vary per type of movie. Again, that's why I have it split between spectacle movies and stuff, because does it affect spectacle movies more or less? For my data management project, the answer is spectacle movies are less affected by reviews, while non-spectacle movies are more affected. But that's only 10 movies, right? There's a lot more I could look into, especially now that we're considering other factors as well, because there it was just average review score, revenue, and date across a combo chart. But here, we'll be looking at who knows how many features, right? A lot more to look into. So that is an overall overview of the project itself. Started work on it today, and that's kind of the next part I'll get into here. So, I've started actually gathering the data for it. I was not gonna find 600 movies myself, so I took those descriptions I gave about spec movies and all that, and I threw it into Gemini, and I had Gemini give me a list of 600 movies. I tried to also have Gemini give me the IMDb user reviews link, because I already have this script made for a web scraper that can go through the page of IMDb user reviews, and right now it's just pulling the numerical value for the ratings, but it's just a single switch in the HTML that I gave it to get the actual text instead. So I'll get that, I'll also get the numerical values. But I already have that script. All that needs is a list of URLs to go through, and those URLs have to be the URLs for the IMDb user review page for each of the 600 movies. I don't want to manually do that. Go through 600 movies and find every link. So I tried getting Gemini to generate those links for me. It worked fine for a while, and then by about the 100th or 200th or so link, it starts giving just random IMDb links to other things that are not what we want. So I'm going to have to find another way to do it, which is what I'm figuring out right now. So far, I am looking into the IMDb Pi library, which apparently has, okay, now it's been renamed to Cinema Goer, but regardless, is a Python library that apparently helps you get data from IMDb. Because right now I have a list of the names of the movies, but I don't have the actual IMDb links. So hopefully I can write a script using IMDb Pi, or now Cinema Goer, that will take in all the names of the movies, put it in, and it will give me back the IMDb ID of the movies. Then with the IMDb ID, I can write another script that will then go through and just give me all the links. Or, actually, the link for user reviews is the same. The only thing that changes in the URL is the movie ID. So I can just have the listed movies. Sorry, thinking out loud now. It's kind of what this is for. But I can have the list of IDs stored in a file, and then it will just read through the file and put those in the specific spot using an F string, and then the program can read through that full URL and then run the rest of the scraper. Scraper's going to take a while though, because even if it took 30 seconds to a minute per movie, that's still 600 movies, that's 5 to 10 hours, which is going to be a pain in the ass. The reason it takes that long, even though it, should be quicker, is because I'm not I'm not just scraping it. IMDb, when you pull up the page, it only has 25 reviews loaded. You have to click load more to get more reviews, and so I can't just use Beautiful Soup to scrape the HTML raw. I have to also use Selenium. To actually load up the page, click the button to load more reviews, and then after it's all loaded, I can scrape it with Beautiful Soup. But it also takes time to actually load the reviews, so even if it took, again, only 30 seconds to a minute to do that whole thing where open up the web page, click load more, wait till it auto loads, close it off, and then scrape it, because Beautiful Soup part is really quick, right? It's just parsing through the HTML file. It's the actual loading that takes a while. 30 seconds to a minute. It's gonna suck with this many movies, but it's doable. And so, yeah, so far I've not actually done any coding other than the one script I already have, but right now I'm working on getting a script to use, and using IMDb Pi or CinemaGoer to actually get the movie ID for each movie based on its name. So that's where we are so far. On day 1 of working on this, I'm going to keep documenting this as I go, but yeah, that's that.